My brother-in-law's truck was parked in the driveway, not my parents' driveway, the one that led to the property I had spent the last 2 years paying for, planning for, and pouring every spare hour of my life into, the one I had driven 4 hours north of Toronto to surprise my parents with on their 35th wedding anniversary. The gravel crunched under my tires and I sat in my car for a moment, engine still running, staring at that truck. A black F-150 with a cracked mud flap on the passenger side. I knew that truck. I had watched it pull out of my sister's driveway every Sunday for 6 years. I turned off the engine. I picked up my bag. I made sure the folder was still zipped inside it. Let me back up. My parents came to Canada from the Philippines in 1989. My father worked construction in Mississauga for 22 years. My mother cleaned offices in the financial district 3 nights a week while raising me and my older sister in a 2-bedroom apartment in Brampton. They did not complain. They did not ask for anything. Every birthday and Christmas I can remember. My mother would say the same thing when we asked what she wanted. She would say, "I just want you girls to be okay." That was it. That was the whole wish list. I am 31 years old. I work as a project coordinator for a mid-sized commercial real estate firm in downtown Toronto. I am not wealthy. I am careful. I have been careful since I was 22 and opened my first TFSA with $400 and a spreadsheet I built myself. I tracked every dollar. I meal prepped on Sundays. I took the bus when I could have taken an Uber. I did not do this to punish myself. I did it because I had a picture in my head of my parents sitting somewhere quiet. Somewhere with water and trees and no alarm clocks. And I wanted to make that picture real. It took me 7 years. The property is on a lake about 3 hours north of Toronto. Closer to 4 if you hit the Friday traffic through Barrie. It is not a mansion. It is a 2-bedroom cottage on about half an acre of waterfront land, with a covered porch that faces west so you can watch the sunset over the water, and a small dock that I had reinforced the summer before because my father has bad knees and I did not want him worrying about loose boards. I bought the land first, in my name, through a real estate lawyer I found, through a colleague. Then I contracted the build through a local company that came highly recommended and had a reputation for honest timelines. I was on site 12 weekends in a row. I chose the fixtures. I picked out the kitchen cabinets. I stocked the pantry with my mother's brands, the specific fish sauce she uses, the condensed milk she likes in her coffee, the brand of rice that she says tastes right. The total cost between land, build, furnishings, the dock reinforcement, and the landscaping came to just under $290. Ling ling ling. I financed it entirely myself. I did not ask anyone for money. I did not mention it to my sister. I set up a pre-authorized payment plan for the property taxes for the next 15 years through my bank, so my parents would never have to think about it. My lawyer helped me set it up as a life estate. The property is titled so that my parents have full legal right to live there for the rest of their lives. When they are gone, it reverts to me. This was her recommendation, and I took it without argument because she explained it clearly and it made sense. It protected my parents. It protected the investment. It closed the door on exactly the kind of thing that I never, in my most anxious moments, actually thought would happen until the black F-150 was in the driveway. My parents did not know I was coming that day. I had told them we were going to dinner in the city to celebrate their anniversary. My mother had texted me that morning to ask if she needed to dress up. I told her yes. Something nice. I told her I would pick them up at 6. What I had not told her was that I was driving north first. That I had arranged with a few of her closest friends to meet us at the cottage at 7. That there would be food and a small cake and a slideshow. My cousin had helped me put together from old family photos. I had not told her because I wanted her to walk through that door and feel it all at once. Instead, I walked through the door and felt something else entirely. My brother-in-law was standing in the kitchen. He was holding a coffee mug, my mother's mug, and the one with the small chip on the handle that she has refused to throw out for 10 years, and he was leaning against the counter with the particular ease of a man who believes he is exactly where he belongs. My sister was sitting at the table. My father was standing near the window with his arms crossed. My mother was sitting across from my sister with her hands folded in her lap and an expression on her face that I recognized immediately. It was the expression she wore when she was trying very hard not to cry in front of people. My brother-in-law looked up when I came in. He smiled. "Hey," he said. "We were just talking about the place." "Were you?" I said. My sister did not look at me directly. She picked at the edge of a placemat. "It's a great property," my brother-in-law said. "Really great. Honestly, the location alone is worth more than what you paid for it. Market up here has moved a lot in the last 18 months. I set my bag down on the floor near the door. I did not take off my jacket. My father-in-law was just saying he's not sure they'll use it that much. My brother-in-law continued. "Long drive." "Right. His knees. And your mom was saying she gets lonely up here without people around." I looked at my father. He uncrossed his arms. "I didn't say that," my father said quietly. "You said the drive was hard." "The drive is hard. I didn't say I didn't want to be here." My brother-in-law made a small gesture with the mug, the kind that means same thing. My father looked away. This is the part I want to be careful about. Because my sister is not a villain in the way that word usually gets used. She is not a cruel person. She does not scheme in the dark. What she is, and what she has always been, is someone who has a very hard time watching other people have things that she does not have. It is a kind of pain, I think. It makes her do things she might not do otherwise. Her husband, though, her husband is a different conversation. He had been in her ear for years. Not about this specifically. He hadn't known about this, but about fairness, about family assets, about how things should be divided equally. He worked in sales. He was good at framing. He could take any situation and rotate it until it looked like the shape he wanted. "Look," he said, setting down the mug. "I'm just going to be straightforward here because that's how I am. This property is a family asset now. It's in your parents' names, which means when they're gone, it's part of the estate, which means it gets divided. That's just how estates work in Ontario." He said it the way someone says something they have already rehearsed, saying, "And the thing is," he continued, "we've been thinking about this, and we think the smartest thing would be to get a proper assessment done. Look at the rental potential. Maybe list it on a short-term rental platform for the months your parents aren't using it. Generate some income. Keep it from just sitting empty." He had already contacted someone. I found that out later. He had already looked into it. I stood there for a moment. My mother was looking at the table. My father had turned back toward the window. My sister was still picking at the placemat. "When did you get here?" I asked. "Yesterday," my sister said. "You drove up yesterday. We wanted to see the place before I got here." She did not answer. I picked up my bag from the floor. I unzipped the front pocket and took out the folder. It was a standard manila folder, the kind you can buy at any Staples. It was not dramatic. It was not thick. It had 3 documents inside it and a small sticky note from my lawyer on the front that said, in her loopy handwriting, "Call me if you need me." I set it on the kitchen table. My brother-in-law looked at it. He looked at me. "What's that?" "It's the title structure," I said, "and the life estate agreement. And the letter from my lawyer explaining what a life estate means under Ontario property law." Nobody said anything. A life estate means my parents have the legal right to live here for the rest of their lives. Full right of occupancy. Nobody can list it, rent it, assess it, or make any decisions about it without their consent. I paused. And it also means the property does not form part of their estate when they pass. It reverts to me directly. It does not go through probate. It cannot be divided. It has never been a family asset, and it will never be a family asset. My brother-in-law's jaw moved. That can't be right. You're welcome to call a lawyer and ask, I said. You can't just You can't set something like that up without, I set it up 14 months ago. I said, before construction was finished. My lawyer has been holding these documents since then. I brought copies today because, honestly, I didn't think I was going to need them. I thought I was coming here to surprise my parents for their anniversary. I looked at my sister then, not at her husband. At her. She was not looking at the placemat anymore. She was looking at me. And her face had done something complicated that I did not have a word for yet. It was not guilt exactly. It was something closer to recognition. Like she was seeing something she had known was there all along, and had hoped she wouldn't have to look at directly. Nadia. I said, that is my sister's name. I didn't build this for you. I didn't build it for him. I built it for Mom and Dad. And everything I needed to do to make sure it stays theirs has already been done. She looked down. Her husband tried a few more things. He talked about fairness. He talked about how our parents would want the whole family involved. He said something about how this was a lot of money to just give away without involving everyone. I let him talk. I had learned, somewhere in the last few years of working in real estate, that some arguments don't need to be won. They just need to be outlasted. Eventually, my father said, quietly, I think you two should head back today. It was the first full sentence he had spoken in about 20 minutes. My brother-in-law started to respond. My father looked at him. Just looked at him. My father is 63 years old and he spent 2 decades in construction, and he does not raise his voice because he has never needed to. My brother-in-law picked up his jacket from the back of the chair. My sister hugged my mother before they left. My mother hugged her back. That is the kind of woman my mother is. My sister said she would call. My mother said, okay. The black F-150 backed down the gravel driveway, and I watched it go until it reached the road and turned south. Then I called my cousin and told her the timeline had shifted slightly, but we were still on. We ate on the porch that evening. 9 of us. Plates full and the citronella candles lit against the bugs, and the sun going down in long orange bands over the water. My mother's friends had brought food. There was pancit and lumpia and a rice cooker. Someone had hauled up from the city in the back of an SUV. Someone had brought a karaoke machine and it was set up in the living room for later. My father had a beer in his hand and he was laughing at something my uncle said, and I watched him from my chair and thought, there it is. That's the picture. After dinner, when most people had drifted inside, my father came and sat beside me at the end of the dock. We didn't say anything for a while. The water was still. There were stars visible that you can never see in the city. And the loons were doing what loons do in the dark. Those long calls that sound like something between a question and an answer. I knew something was wrong, he said eventually. When they got here, I knew, but I didn't know what to do. You don't have to do anything, I said. It's handled. He nodded. He looked at the water. You didn't have to do all this, he said. I know. Your mother cried in the car on the way here. When she figured out where we were going. I know. I could tell from the texts. He smiled at that. He has a good smile. He looks young when he smiles, which is something I have always loved about him, and something I think about sometimes when I imagine him getting older. We sat there for a while longer. The karaoke started up inside. Someone was attempting a Celine Dion song with great confidence and mixed results, and the light from the windows fell out onto the water in yellow rectangles. The drive isn't that bad, my father said. When there's no traffic. 4 hours. Tops? I said. I could do that easy. I know you can. He finished his beer. He set the bottle down carefully on the dock beside him. A boundary isn't a wall, he said, which surprised me, because I hadn't told him about the conversation I'd had with my lawyer 14 months ago, when she'd used almost exactly those same words to explain why a life estate was the right structure for this situation. She had said a boundary isn't a wall. It doesn't keep people out. It just makes clear where the ground belongs. I don't know if my father had arrived at those words on his own or if he had overheard something. I didn't ask. It didn't matter. He was right, either way. What I know is this. My parents came to this country with 2 suitcases and a plan, and 35 years of mornings they chose each other. My mother still gets up early to make coffee before my father wakes up. My father still buys her the exact brand of mango she likes whenever it's on sale, even though they don't need to watch the budget the way they used to. They are not perfect. No family is. But they are mine and they are good and they deserve this. Not as a gift exactly, but as a fact, a thing that exists and is theirs and cannot be taken. The Celine Dion song ended. Someone started something by Mariah Carey. My father stood up, collected his bottle, and offered me his hand to help me up, which he has done since I was small, even though I don't need it. And I took it, which I have done since I was small, even though I don't need it either. We walked back up the dock together toward the light.